Welcome to another episode of the Portrait Mode podcast. My name is Jake Carr. I am a photographer, speaker, and aspiring author. And hopefully I will get to that day sometime with the help of our guest today. Our guest today is Miss Jonelle Carter. She is an author, a speaker, a incredibly talented musician, songwriter, and many other things. Mom, friend, so much. Dog owner, dog mom. So many great things. We met over the summer, and I'm so excited to have her here. She's been an important person in my life, helping me overcome some hurdles and talk through some challenges. And even just this morning, the 10 minutes before we got this thing started, she's already changed some of my outlooks today. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Jake. Thank you for having me. This has been a long time coming, and we finally did it. So I'm so excited. And wow, when you say all those things, thank you, especially dog mom, because that's maybe the hardest role right now.
Yes, as a dog dad, I completely understand.
Yeah, we're
Now,
praying dogs behave for us while we record
yes,
this.
if you hear any barking, we apologize in advance. Now we took your portrait at a leadership conference over the summer. So we got that kind of part out of the way. So we don't have to do that today. So we can jump right into the conversation. Why don't you give us a quick introduction? Tell us what you're doing, kind of your backstory, and let you introduce to the folks.
Yeah. So, like as Jake said, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been a musician my whole adult life and a writer long before that. I was writing short stories and poetry as soon as I knew how to write, and I was published at the age of 8 with a pretty crappy poem, but it made it to a published poetry book. And so I've always been a creative. I started playing music in my early 20s, and I don't even think I was old enough to like get into the bar yet when I joined my first band. And so being on stage has never been, anything but just my home. And so it's, no surprise that later in life I rolled that career into a speaking career, with, the help of a couple of the books that I've written. Wrote my first memoir and published it in 2019, and since then have written and published a couple new books. And what I'm up to right now is just trying to get myself out into the world. I have a story to share, and I really want to help people find their voices and redefine what confidence looks like and how to use that voice to change not only themselves but the world around them. And so that's my mission these days, and using my platforms, my stage, to do those things, and absolutely loving it.
Awesome. So let's talk about that voice. We're gonna dig right in this because you're like the voice. I am the eyes with the portrait mode. Like if we get a couple other senses, we've got a full person here. But let's talk about that voice. Let's start with the most, for most of us, the toughest voice to tame, and that's the one in our head.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
what are your tips for dealing with the voice in your head and acknowledging that and getting over it?
So I think the number one thing that we have to realize is that every single person, every one of us, regardless of title, regardless of age, race, generation, anything like that, we all are in that same boat with that inner critic somehow. And we're not a whole lot different than anybody else. So I think once we feel like we're not alone on an island of just this horrible self-talk that we often do, and questioning ourselves and telling ourselves that we're not able, and not all the things, that these scripts that we say, once we realize, hey, like, we're not alone in this, sometimes just that helps us to not feel like, okay, well, I'm not a weirdo, I'm not like this horribly sad in the head person, right? Like I'm just a normal human. And so a lot of times, if we can show people, like an audience, or you can show somebody, hey, like, look, you think this person has it all together, but here's what is going through their mind. And a lot of times you feel seen then, right? You don't feel so alone. So I think that's a big part of recognition. And then how to get over it. We can retrain our brain. The brain is just fascinating, and we can rewrite scripts and we can reroute ourselves. I always use, we're local to Illinois, and we have a road called Ridge Road, and forever Ridge Road went straight to 126, and you could go left or you could go right. Well, they rerouted it a few years ago, and now you curve, and then it continues on, and for the longest time I was like, oh my gosh, my car would literally want to just keep going straight, and I had to, and now I can drive that. I don't drive it with my eyes closed, don't worry, but I could, because my brain knows that's the rerouting, right? And oh, they're just a baby for babies. And so when we reroute our thoughts, it's going to take a while. Retraining our brain to think good things and to say good things to ourselves and affirm ourselves. And so I think that's the key to getting over it, is repetition, consistency, and reframing the things you're saying with something that is actually truth and helpful.
Yeah, I think that is it true and is it helpful? I think those are two very important questions to ask when you have that thought in your head, when you have something, when you're trying to do something and your internal voice, your bitch voice, if you will, says, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that, that kind of thing. Like, is it true? Like, okay, I'm not trying to, lift 500 pounds here or something ridiculous that's outside my abilities.
Right.
And is it, is it helpful?
Yeah.
Is it helpful? Yeah. No, I'm trying to accomplish something here. Get out of my head, zip it, and let me get this done.
Right. And I think we have to recognize too that that fight that we're having with that inner critic, and who, we want, like how we want to be showing up. That it's just a protection mode. It's like, ooh, are you sure that you're ready to step onto that stage and say these things? For me, one of the things that plays in my head that I battle with and I'm winning finally is that I don't have a degree. So many times I'm like, well, what authority do I have to go and stand on a stage and speak to a room full of people who likely have degrees? And my mom, who's so brilliant, always says to me, if you were going to NASA to speak about like aerospace, I would be worried, because that's their expertise. But your expertise is this. And so also, relearning those social things that we've been told, like, are you working a 9 to 5? Do you have a degree? What college did you go to? Those sorts of things. I mean, those are all wonderful accolades, 100%, but they don't always define your experiences, your knowledge, and what you can share and give. So learning how to turn those into, like, your strengths instead.
I'm going to get you a sweatshirt that says UDI. It's called the University of Doing It.
I love it.
And I think there's a long time ago, it was actually a musician who told me that. And I think I made the mistake. I was young and I asked him where he went to school, and he said, you know what, son, I went to UDI, the University of Doing It. And I will never forget that moment. And I've used that ever since, because I have a degree in Parks and Recreation and Tourism. That's the degree I have in. And has it helped me along the way? Yeah, it has, because it has business and has all these other things. But I can't tell you things that I learned. We designed a playground. in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism, and had to figure out how far the slide needed to be away from the monkey bars so that when the kid went down the slide, he didn't hit the monkey bars. Do you think I use that in my daily life? I do not use that. So that piece of paper, and that we've been taught, you got to have a degree, you got to have this job or whatever. And I think that's with AI and with all the YouTube and all the ways you can learn these days. I think, unfortunately, for the universities, it's kind of, it's not as necessary as it used to be.
Yeah. And I agree. And I always, I do envy like the people who are, like my daughter, she loves college. That's where she couldn't get there fast enough. She loves it. She's a great student. She, eats everything up. She just absorbs everything there. I wasn't that kid. And, I think it's important to recognize when you're trying to put like what do they say? Like square peg in a
Square
round
peg,
hole.
round hole. Square
And
peg in a round hole.
yeah,
Doesn't work.
like it doesn't always fit that way. So, but kind of getting back to that inner critic, this just goes to show here I've got all these things that I'm doing, and it's like, I'm the one waking up in the morning going, oh yeah, but do you have the authority? And so if that helps anybody to feel more seen, and it's like, okay, once like we're all in this together. I think that's the thing, is like you start to understand things like ego. You start to understand things, insecurities feeding ego and all these things. And it all starts to make a little more sense. But changing the way that you speak to yourself can change your entire life. And I'm 100% proof of that. That's why I speak about it.
Yeah, and I think it's not only changing the way you speak to yourself, but then changing the way you see yourself. And one of the reasons we love the portrait mode is you put that current portrait on the wall, and you just need to see all of those things, see that you're not alone, see that you've accomplished so many things. Like, you can't even like, if you started making a list of all the accolades, all the great things that you've done, it would be hard to do, but that's all included in that portrait. And so that should hopefully give you the confidence when you look at that to kind of break you out of that mode that you get in where you're just
Yeah.
getting beat to snot by your own internal voice, and to break it up and look at the portrait and go, okay, all right, I got this. I've done this and this little challenge that's in front of me. This is nothing. Like, let's go. What are we waiting for?
I've got this. And I think what's really, really important is to surround yourself around people who are secure enough with with their own insecurities to share them and to be able to build each other up. Because I know, like, even just you and I having conversations, it's like, okay, I've got this because I've got a group of people around me who want to see me win. They want to help build me up. I want to see them win. I want to help build them up. And what happens is you can start to see yourself through others' eyes. But if you're around the people who are envious, jealous, angry, a lot of these things, and you start to see yourself through their eyes, that's just going to feed that inner critic even more. And so the people that you're around and that you spend your time with, we were taught that as kids, right? You're a reflection of the people that you're closest to. And so I think when you're, if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I really do need to kind of up my game as far as how I'm speaking to myself and like what I'm thinking of myself, take a look around you. Who are the people that you're around the most? Like, what are they feeding into you? You know?
And where are you spending your attention? I'd love to say, protect your attention to preserve your intentions. And I guarantee you that yesterday, all of you intended to do something. There was something you intended to do, but it did not happen because your attention was pulled away. A lot of times, unfortunately, by social media. Sometimes it's a trip to the emergency room. Sometimes it's a dog. Sometimes it's a parenting thing or a spouse situation, work situation, whatever it is. But you have to protect your attention to preserve those intentions, because we all start off the day with great intentions, and then we get distracted by this and we get distracted by that. And so, like, it's really a challenge to, protect your time, whether it's setting a timer, 17 minutes. What are some of the things that you do to protect your time and protect your attention?
Yeah, so this was a hard lesson for me to learn, because although I'm a really great self-starter, I'm not always the best self-leader. So I'm ready. I'm at this desk. I've got the candle lit. Let's go. What am I doing? Okay, well, now I've been scrolling through TikTok for 40 minutes, And so one of the things that I like to do is very simply just make a list. It's kind of like an endorphin rush when I can check something off of that list. And the more I check off, the more I want to do. We were talking about motivation, you know, equals action equals results is not the formula. It's really truly action equals results equals motivation. So applying that to simply having a list of things that you want to accomplish and checking those off. And I learned from a very, very wise coach that I had once, once that stuff's checked off, you don't always have to add more. So if it's 10 a.m. and you checked everything off, great, go for a walk. Go have a beautiful lunch. Celebrate that you did that. I think entrepreneurs automatically think we just have to keep going and going and going and going, and we have to exhaust ourselves. And part of that is, you might exhaust yourself in one day, and then the next day you're like, God, I don't feel like doing anything now. Now my attention has really been, redirected. I like to imagine myself on a track going a certain direction towards a goal. And because I work in my office alone, thankfully, so I don't look like a crazy person, but like I will often literally do this to myself. Like, nope, back on. Nope, back on. You literally have to put blinders on at some point and just, and I like your idea of setting a timer. I will do that a lot this time to do X amount of things or check emails. And there's a lot of really great systems out there. I think building systems is a important part of being an entrepreneur and self-employed.
Yeah, I think so. Cause I'm going through it right now. Like you used to have you kind of had the 8 to 5 and okay, 8 o'clock I start and I do my day and then 5 o'clock I'm done. Well, it's just none of that. When you're working for yourself and you're an entrepreneur, for you Star Wars fans, it's stay on target. That's what you can say to yourself during the day. Stay on target, and just keep focusing on the goal. And that is it is so hard in today's age because you get an email and you get a phone notification and then, the doorbell rings and it's FedEx and it's bringing you something or Amazon's dropping off a package and you want to open it right away because you're excited about it and that kind of thing. But it takes so hard sometimes to get them out. Like for me, it's editing. Like if I'm editing pictures, like I got to edit a shoot or whatever. I really like to do that from start to finish. And if I get in the middle of it and then I have to go and do something, sometimes it's really hard to get back to that. And so you really have to kind of force yourself to get back into the groove. And sometimes for me, that's working late at night once the dogs are asleep and the phone's off and that kind of thing. And sometimes my best work gets done between 9 and 11.
Right.
And maybe I sleep in the next day. So like your schedule is always constantly changing. It's hard for me personally and for creatives, I think in general, to be in like this super set routine because life isn't super set.
No. And I struggle with re-entry. So we talk about this a lot. If we have we've had a light winter for playing live music shows. We take some time off in the winter, we travel, we do things like that. And when it comes time to jump back into my busy full music schedule, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, things like that, I really struggle. I struggle with re-entry into that world. Well, what will happen is I'll have to take that action. Okay, cool. Like, oh, now I'm back in it. I feel motivated again. Say we play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Sunday, I get up in the morning and I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, do you want to go have lunch somewhere? I don't want to even be in the house. I have trouble with re-entry both directions. So if you're working on a task and you do get distracted, it is hard for some of us to put our focus back into it. I think utilizing a lot of the tools that we have at our fingertips, right? Like do not disturb mode, sleep mode. Megan Holly that spoke at my Glow event, sometimes you'll text her and it's like this auto reply that comes back and it's like, hey, like my battery's full right now. I'm tapping out. Like I need to nourish my mind and my body. I'll get back to you when I'm full. Like I love, like, how do you argue with that? I'm not going to text her again and be like, no, I really need you to drink yourself more.
Now, yeah. Right now. No. Yeah, I like that.
So recognizing and using the tools, can you schedule an hour in the morning to check all of your emails and reply? And then do you have the self-control to not open that back up? until 3 or 4 p.m. and do it again. I have not been able to accomplish that yet, but it's definitely in my systems that I'm trying to build for myself, because organization, I think, is key to taking action and organization. Those are my big words for 2026. Organizing my thoughts, my space, and then doing it, not talking about it, doing it.
I think your environment is a key too, and I know like my desk is a freaking disaster right now. I'm just overall a messy guy, which drives my wife a little bit crazy. But when I do have a clean office, I do think I'm more productive, and so I've tried to like get into that groove to like I know if I'm sometimes it's just procrastinating to clean up, but like if I can clean my office or like and accomplish that and cross off the goal, like write it down on the list. Hey, clean your desk. Boom. Check mark. Okay, clean my desk. That's why I love walking in the morning. Like if I can get my workout and go out and walk, which this winter kind of stinks, but if I can get that in and I can go, okay, boom, checked it off. I got a workout in. I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. I've got
Yes,
that box checked,
feels great.
and you've got some momentum built up, and you feel much like when I work out in the morning, I feel so much better, and I don't know
Oh
why I
my
don't
gosh,
just do it
you
every
get those
morning, but
endorphins, and you just
yeah.
feel like you can feel it
So
melting away, like 20 minutes in, you're like, oh, you
yes,
know. And so, maybe that's something that would be very helpful for listeners too. Is can you get out, spend some time with yourself? I love Bob Proctor. He is, like one of the gurus of all of the self um, professional or personal development world. And he has a book called Change Your Paradigm, Change Your Life. I reference it all the time. I listen to it when I walk. I've listened to it like 4 times. Uh, every single morning, he says, you get up. Before you do anything else, you think of 10 things. You can write them down on a little journal notepad by your bed or wherever your happiest space is. 10 things you're grateful for. You can do more if you want, but 10 things. And somebody added this down the road, and I love it. And why? Because it's easy to be like, well, I'm grateful that Sam's came yesterday and we have like an unlimited amount of toilet paper. Well, why? Why are you grateful for that? Well, I don't have to go to the store. I don't have to do this. I also feel secure when I have products in my house. This is something that my husband and I talk about all the time. We grew up very differently. Terry and I, my husband did. But for some reason, like knowing we have like ample amounts of things, we feel more secure. So, and why? What are 10 things you're grateful for and why? Step 1. Step 2, this is hard. Send love to 2 people who are angering you or who have hurt you or have done you wrong. And the point of that is it's not for them. It's for you, because what goes out comes back. So if you can send love and release some of that anger, animosity, frustration, you're really ultimately mirroring it back to yourself. So imagine yourself doing that. And then the third step is take 5 minutes quietly in a meditative state, whether you're just quiet with your eyes closed, however that looks for you, and you ask for guidance for the day. That's how, you could be doing that when you walk. You could do all of those steps. But I think creating a ritual for yourself in the morning, like you're saying, with working out, with maybe doing some like metaphysical workout, those kind of things, sets the tone for the day and can really help keep you on that track when you're getting off.
yeah, I'll give you a real life example of that. We have a golden doodle. We have a dog that's 11 years old, and then or basically, I don't know if it's going to be permanent or temporary, but we have a 8-month-old golden doodle who is quite a lot. And when Toby gets out of the kennel in the morning, I take him outside, but then he's usually a little rambunctious and he wants to, he wants some attention or whatever. It was kind of driving me nuts because I'm like, I want to get on with my day, that kind of thing. And I decided that when Toby and I have our moment in the morning, that was when I was going to just have gratitude. That's when I was going to go through, like, as I'm petting him, as I'm kind of entertaining him or whatever, that was going to be my gratitude time, and it's helped, and it's helped. So now I'm not like so frustrated that I have this dog. What do I do with this dog? And it's all this. Like we sit there and he soaks it up while you pet him and belly rub him and whatever, and you just sit there and be grateful. How grateful am I that I could help my son take this dog in and whatever? How grateful am I that I woke up this morning, that my back doesn't hurt today, that
Yeah.
that that we can
Yes.
afford dog food, those kinds of things, and just be grateful. And so it can take if you can take something that's stressing you out, just like sending love to somebody who's angering you, if you can take a situation, or maybe it's making lunch for your kids, it drives you nuts making peanut butter and jelly. Well, while you're making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that you drives you crazy every day that you got to do, um, be grateful that you get the opportunity to make peanut butter and jelly, because there's somebody somewhere who does not have that opportunity, or it was taken away from them yesterday. And I used to have that. I had a blog called Walking the Dog is Not Working Out, and I wrote one about, it seems like such a pain in the ass to take your dog for a walk, but there's going to be a day where you're going to be wishing you could go walk that dog again, because it's not going to be here. So things are temporary, things will pass. And if you can just try to reframe it, just like Bob's book, that's kind of the whole thing of his book is reframe your paradigm.
Yeah.
You can take a situation that's stressing you out or keeping you from reaching your goals and turn it into something that creates momentum for your day.
Yeah, and I love the idea. And there's something, it's called something, and I don't remember what it's called, so maybe we can like link it or reference it back. When you double up like a new practice
It's like
with a
habit stacking. I think James Clear calls it habit stacking.
okay.
We talked
Yeah,
about this in
brushing your
the first
teeth.
podcast of the year. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yes, and it opens up parts of your mind. And have you heard about like the like try brushing your teeth with your left hand or your non-dominant? I'm right-handed, so like your non-dominant hand or
Mhm.
whatever. It opens up space in your brain. I mean, this is getting very like that neuro pathway, neurodivert. What is the word I'm looking for? Like neuroplasticity, I think is what it's called. That you're reframing and rebuilding roads in your brain. Which I'm fascinated by this. And you had that such a great real life example with waking up in the morning and doing your gratitude with Toby. One of the things that I've changed in my own life and in my relationship is that a few years ago we stopped saying the word broke. It's like a bad word in our house. We never say, like, even joking, like, oh, I would love to get that car, but I'm broke, as a joke, or like, oh God, I'm so, we do not say it. And I am not kidding you. When we stopped saying that word, we made more money than we ever had. Nothing changed for us other than we stopped living in like lack and we started living in abundance mindset. I don't question it. I don't know, but something changed. And it's the power of your brain and the universe both. They're just going to, whatever you say, they're like, okay. My son's an engineer. He is so black and white. He is so literal, right? So like, if I say to my son, hey, I ran into your football coach at the grocery store and he was so funny. He's like, did he tell you a joke? No, he's just funny. Well, he doesn't get that. The universe is the same way, right? Like if you're saying like, I'm not worthy of this, I'm never going to have enough money to make, a difference in my life, and I'm really probably not capable of getting that job, the universe is like, got it. Cool. We'll keep you there. So what you're saying and thinking and doing every day, those little habits can truly change everything.
Yeah, and don't put it out there unless you want it, because it'll happen. I mean, I think for me, I think I saw it with becoming full time. Like I wanted to go full time forever. Didn't do it by myself. I had a little help. Got
You had to
pushed
get
off the ledge.
pushed off the ledge a little bit.
Got pushed off the ledge. And so now it's like, okay, either you jump or you're gonna hit, either you spread your wings and fly or you're gonna hit the ground. And that takes time to learn how to fly. It takes time to learn how to adjust to it and challenge it. But it's ultimately what what needed to happen and what's on the path, and you can't argue with it, and you can fight it or you can go with it, and you can make the most of it. And I'm pretty excited where we are, and just my conversation this morning with you has helped change that. So I appreciate that.
Well, and it's so funny. It's like you never want that friend who's like feeling like they're celebrating like a downfall for you. But I was so excited when you did text me that things were changing for you, and instead of being like, "Oh man, I'm so sorry," I was like, "Yay, it's happening for you!" And that
I think
seems like
everybody except for Mrs. Carr was excited for me.
well,
So, but
yeah,
it's the challenge. You get addicted to monthly salary. Luckily we have some great clients. We've kind of replaced that, and she's in a better place with it all now. But it's change, and people fear change. One of the things I've heard before is you fear success, you fear failure, which makes sense, right? That complete sense. You fear failure, right? You fear judgment. We fear judgment. But the third fear in that is the first one that I said. I kind of messed that up. But the first one is fear of success. And that's so crazy. But the more I think about it, it's like the fear of success. Okay, what if I write a book and what if it does really well? What if I'm speaking to bigger crowds? What if I'm like, stuff will change and it'll be good and it's what you wanted, but it's scary. It's scary at the same time.
yeah,
What if
because
your showcase goes really well? Your showcase goes really well in February. Like, it's going to change things, and it's a little scary, but you may have to say no to some things that you've been used to doing, and you may not have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday performances because you got to go be on a big stage somewhere. So it's okay to have a little bit of be scared about it, but don't be. So
I agree. And that is something that I am personally dealing with, is that fear of success. And I almost feel lazy sometimes because I'm like, do I want the amount of responsibility that comes with upholding a career? I think about influencers all the time. I think it's awesome that like somebody somewhere became an influencer and they have millions of followers because they every single day they post like, a short video of them like making I don't know, a lunch with chicken sausage or something. But like, do you realize the responsibility that you have now to create like a chicken sausage video every single day? And part of me is like, do I really want that? Well, the universe is like, cool, got it, small. You want small. All right, got it. And so knowing that what comes to you, you will be able to handle through faith, through practice, through whatever it is that you lean on, I think that's important to also affirm ourselves by saying, I do want this. I do want this big success. And I know that I am capable of receiving it. And I love that you brought that up, because it's just like when in my keynote, I talk about asking. And once you get comfortable with asking and you change the way you think about asking, you're going to get an answer, right? You're going to get a yes or you're going to get a no. We're all prepared for the no. Oh, they're going to say no. This isn't going to. Are you prepared for the yes? To step fully in? Yeah. Because you need to be. And that's the work that needs to be done, I think. Being ready for the yes, being ready for the success. And
yeah, I think that's and understanding that you can't do it alone. I think where we are with our business is like understanding you can't do it all by yourself. And my son's worked for me forever, but I have some other people starting to step up and other photographers, and you met some of them at Glow, and trying to reach out to the resources, because you'll attract if you're doing the right things, you're going to attract those resources. And I will tell you, the coolest thing that I think I've ever done as a business owner was we did an event with Hoffman Transportation, and Tim Tebow was speaking. And my two guys who were helping me photograph, both sports guys, showed up, and I'm busy covering the awards. And I said, you two go cover Tim Tebow. And then back in my day, I would have been like, well, I have to cover Tim Tebow. Like, that's a cool thing. I said, no, you guys, I've got this awards thing covered. You guys do that. And they got to visit with Tim Tebow for like 10 minutes and took pictures and did all this wonderful stuff and just had this experience that they probably never would have would have had a chance to have. And like, I got to be the conduit to give it to them.
Exactly.
That's my new word. And like, I got to be the one to, just say, no, you guys go cover Tim too. And they're like, and one of the guys like is like one of the first times he worked for me. I was like, but I trust you that you're not going to do anything dumb and that that you can go create.
Yes. And that's why
And they just thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, I thought it was so cool because I got to be the one to say, I'm in a position where I'm working with this client and done all the work to do this to be able to give other guys that opportunity. And I'd never experienced that before until this past fall when I did that. It was cool.
And what an accomplishment, because that is a sign of your success, your growth, but your leadership. When a leader that's a true leader to say, hey, I want you to come along with me. I want you to experience this too. And we could probably do a whole other podcast about when you're in alignment and those people are showing up and into your world and you're working with the right people that you're attracting, like you're saying. It's interesting when they're an energetic exchange it doesn't always have to be like that, that financial exchange. Sometimes it's energetic exchange, and that can even be so much more valuable than, like, let me show up and give you my gift and you can show up and give me yours and we rise together. There's lots of things to be said about just building that really important team around you.
Okay, I'm finding it hard to be grateful about Toby barking right now, but hopefully he'll be chill. Okay, I'm going to ask you, I got time for one more question and then we'll let you kind of tell where to find you and that kind of thing. So we took your portrait, you and Terry both, we took your portraits over the summer.
Yeah.
And this is a loaded question.
Yeah.
Have you hung it somewhere in your office?
So they're in where we do our podcast.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Has it changed? Like, what has it, do you find yourself looking at it? Like, how do you use it? Is it just there? Has anybody asked you about it?
So nobody's asked about it just because it's kind of like in our personal space where we create. But I did that intentionally because I wanted to remember, like, you are the CEO of your life. You are the one person that you're going to like look to. Right. And I think it's like, if you can separate, like, yourself a little bit and be like, oh, I can look up to this person and she does know what she's doing, or he does know what he's doing. I think, and of course I love Terry's more than I love mine, because I think watching him step into that role is really sweet and great. But yeah, I think realizing, like, you are the CEO of what you want. You create your reality.
And I think, you say you love seeing Terry's more than seeing your own. I think the key to a good relationship is to be, I tell my wife all the time, and she tells me all the time, like, if you could only see you through how I see you, like, if Terry could see himself as you see him, in the same way I tell my boys, like, when my boys came home with their portraits of from the Marine Corps and those kinds of things, these portraits that go on the wall, it's so important to have, because it doesn't matter sometimes how you feel, but there is someone in this world, someone in your life that looks at that portrait and just gushes, whether it's your mom, it's your spouse, it's your partner, it's your brother, it's your best friend. There is somebody in your life that sees you and puts you so much higher and so much more on a pedestal than you see yourself. And if you could even like come close to that, who knows what you could accomplish. So I think that's one of the most important parts of the portrait mode, is so you can see yourself the way other people see you. And sometimes you can do that, and it's a shift.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how in alignment our messaging is, because you're showing them with visual and I'm showing them with words, like, hey, these are what you're saying. This is the stuff you're saying to yourself, but here's what people are saying they're thinking about you, and that's why we're a great team.
Yeah, the exercise that you do, like if you're doing a corporate event with Jonelle, she does this exercise where she asks people to like text in. She's got this whole cool system, and text in what you were thinking about yourself and then what you're thinking about other people. And the change is just absolutely drastic because everybody else is thinking about you in this way and you're thinking about yourself in this way. Like she just shows the disconnect and it like really makes light bulbs go off. So I think that's one of the really cool things that you do in your presentations.
One
If
of my
someone
favorite.
wants to know more about you, and we're probably going to have a part two podcast because I know we both got to run and get on with our day. But if someone wants to find out more about you, follow you on social media, see you do post a lot of your life, like when you're in Key West. I felt like I was in Key West with you. Thank you. Felt warm every time I saw one of your posts. But you had good, like there was something you said in Key West, and I apologize that I don't remember word for word, but whatever you said, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it was just some thought you were having with your cool glasses and
Oh
reading a
yeah,
book or something.
I was
And I
like
was like,
from the deck, and it was like, you can
yeah,
create this.
yeah, it just makes sense. So, all right, where can they follow you? Where can we find you?
So I think the easiest way is to just go to my website, which is JonelleMarieCarter.com. And from there, you can connect to my LinkedIn, you can connect to my socials, Instagram, Facebook, and you can see what I'm up to. You can book, a session. You can book me as a speaker. There's everything that needs to be done can be done from that hub. So JonelleMarieCarter.com. And that's an O. It's like the most complicated name in
And
the world to spell.
we'll put it in we will put the links and everything in the description. Well, Jonelle, can't wait to do. We're gonna do some more great things. Jonelle is also helping me on my book journey and become an author. So I really appreciate that. And there's more work to come.
Yeah, I'm
And
ready.
there's leadership events this summer, and there's just a lot of things that I think are in store. And if you've never heard her and Terry perform, man, find them somewhere. What's it? The Clients? It's the Clients or the River Road Trio? Which
Yeah,
one is
so
it these
both.
days?
Yeah, we have the
Both.
clients. You can find us on social media, and then River Road Trio, anywhere you download music, Spotify, Apple, and then riverroadtrio.com for our schedule. The client schedule is also on River Road. So yeah, come see a music show. We love stepping into that role as often as we can. So
Fantastic. Well, thanks again for not only the podcast, but the conversation before. And I'm going to end this, but hope everybody has a great day. And we'll talk to you again soon.
thank you so much.